Hey, how about that? It was just promoting that Ric Flair was coming to an arena near you. Clearly, that is in response to the phenomenal success of WrestleMania 3, because in all the trade magazines, they had taken out a 2-page spread at Titan, and it showed the sold out crowd and Hulk Hogan standing in front of it. And they were trying to entice building promoters and area promoters throughout the country. Bring us because we know how to sell tickets. We are a draw. And I think it's interesting that they use a minute of their TV time here to put over that, hey, Ric Flair's a big fucking draw too, and he's coming to an arena near you. It feels like a counter programming strategy, because that magazine spread would have come out around this same time, of course, because WrestleMania had happened just a couple of months prior to this.
Yeah, it also kind of feels like that house show business was down a little bit, and they wanted to do something to promote a little bit more, you know. There's Magnum TA, and this is from the Greensboro Coliseum. And this became a big angle in 1987.
Let me ask you this. How weird is it that the front row is 40 feet from the ring?
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel weird now?
It's very, very weird. And I'm trying to wonder why they did it that way.
I mean, it's not like they were going to set up a scaffold that day, or it would already be there. And it's not like they were going to set up a cage, or it would already be there.
Yeah, I have no idea, because it wasn't that long ago when the ringside area was much, much closer.
Sure.
And I don't know who came. I don't know who decided to make that. Whoa! How about that? Take that cane.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, it's wrestling, so everything is poor taste. But do you think it's a little poor taste to put Magnum out there in a diminished capacity and make it part of a storyline, or is it good business? I mean, obviously it's something we got really accustomed to, but here in 87, did you feel like, oh, I don't know if we should be doing this?
Yeah, I'm telling you, there was a lot of people that thought that way in the front office too, Conrad. A lot of people that questioned using Magnum TA here. A lot of the boys questioned it. And of course, as you know, Dusty being the booker, Dusty had plenty of heat. And he had plenty of heat with the guy who he's twisting the leg on right now, Tully Blanchard, as well. A lot of people thought that bringing Magnum out with Dusty was really the wrong thing to do. And now,
here's the thing, too. And I know that Dusty gets criticized a lot for some of his booking decisions. But realistically, and by the way, you're missing some classic stuff here. In the ring right now, if you're not watching, and you should be, Tully Blanchard, Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA. No. Tully Blanchard, Dusty Rhodes, Tommy Young, with Magnum TA on the outside and Dark Journey on the outside, and of course, J.J. Dillon. But really classic stuff here. Magnum TA with the slap here on Tully. And before Tully can respond, Dusty's back in there. What I was going to say a minute ago is, you know, we saw the stuff from 86 a couple of weeks ago. Dusty and Magnum had been running together, and he had been positioned to be Magnum's sort of big brother. So it makes total sense to me that he would be here, but I understand why there would be heat that, you know, why does it have to be Dusty? But in storyline, doesn't that make sense?
It made plenty of sense. Dusty and Magnum were a tag team, and there goes JJ waddling over. And kick. You know what I just thought about? You said Dusty on the floor here with the figure four on Tully. And, of course, you know, obviously we all know Rick very well. Did Dusty, and I don't know the answer to this, did Dusty get some heat for using a figure four? I mean, it was Ric Flair's move, right?
Right.
It was his finish. So, I don't know. You know, I don't know if it was or not. He had the figure four on.
Well,
also,
let's tell the truth. You know, Rick was pissed about it. In this era, it was a love-hate relationship with Dusty and Rick.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. Also, I want to draw your attention to it ringside, the far side, the trio you see.
Yep.
On the left is Wally Dusek, the famous Dusek brothers, old-time wrestler. He had cauliflower ears. Truck and Tom Miller in the middle, and then me on the other side calling the commentary that night for that match. And, you know, I watched this match again, and after I called it, and of course, you know, I was always a big Dusty guy. You know, he was very, very, there's a Tully Blanchard figure four. He was very instrumental in my career. And I thought as this match went along that Dusty did a hell of a job selling a lot of stuff. And I think his a lot of times he got a lot of criticism as not that great of a worker. I thought he worked a very good match here.
I think anybody who says Dusty wasn't a great worker doesn't get Dusty. You know, some people don't get The Rock. You know, as silly as that sounds, like, you know, that cartoonish People's Elbow and some of his promos, and it's like either you get it or you don't. And I always got Dusty, and I'm a huge Dusty mark, and I thought he got the crowd into this. I mean, I enjoyed this match. You know, it's not a match that people talk about a whole lot, but what a great storyline. I really dug it a lot. But I do think that today people would question whether or not it was the right thing to involve real life situation here. And I get that it's wrestling and, you know, we're going to see it done a lot, but I know that some people were probably like, what are we doing? But at the same time, in fairness, the guy probably, you know, has a family to take care of. It's not like all of a sudden this new income opportunity has popped up while he's incapacitated physically. So if this is an opportunity to help take care of his family in a weird way, it's good of Dusty to look out for him. Yeah,
Dusty with a DDT right there. It is good. And, you know, and I don't know the answer to this, Conrad, but I hope the Crockett family took care of Magnum.
I would believe they did.
Yeah. I really, really hope they did. It was a horrible thing that happened to all of us. And in many ways, it really kind of started the downfall of us. Tully, very underrated. Look at Dusty. One arm, pick him up, shove him back to the corner. And look how Dusty, see that? Falling down on the other side? That's some good stuff right there, man. That's being able to sell. That's just a big, heavy-set man knowing what he's doing. And again, if you say Dusty's not a good worker, then define to me what you consider a good worker to be.
Right. I agree.
You know, a lot of people said JJ with the shoe, JJ with just some subtle heat. Dark Journey came up to get the attention of Tommy Young. I had a good shot of Dark Journey's bloomers there as she was up on the top. But I kept my focus, Conrad. I didn't look up her dress. I kept my focus straight ahead on the match because I was selling one of the biggest matches ever. Me, Tony Schiavone, 1987. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
I was stoked to be here for this one. Not only that, it's the Greensboro fucking Coliseum, man.
Thank you, dude. That's such a big deal that I think, you know, I mean, as silly as it sounds, this is almost like, you know, the Boston Garden or Madison Square Garden or the Forum. I mean, that's what it is for North Carolina, which is your home state for this promotion.
Yeah, and not only that, and I can remember back, and we're talking about the late 70s, right? I can remember back going to the Greensboro Coliseum all those years, getting there early, and we drove down 3.5 hours from my hometown. And I remember going to the Greensboro Coliseum, and we would, so excited to get into the Coliseum, we would sprint to try to be the first one there, just to sit in our chairs and soak in the moment of what we thought was going to happen that night. And that was so exciting to me as a fan. And for me to be at ringside in this was a big fucking deal. Big deal.
Let me ask you this, as far as, you know, your fandom back in the day, Greensboro was the number one Coliseum. What would 2 and 3 be?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the number 2 was Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. And number 3 was the Roanoke Civic Center. But we got to take a break, and we're back after this.
In my head, Baltimore would have made the list somewhere, and Atlanta and the Omni would have made it somewhere.
Never did. As a fan, never did go to the Omni in Atlanta. It was too far away.
Okay, well, let's talk about when you were here. The Omni was number 2 behind Greensboro?
Yeah, and then Charlotte number 3 when I started working the business.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Charlotte was home, and it was easy to go to Charlotte. We had some great matches in Spartanburg and Greenville, South Carolina. You know, just, you know, the great – look at this. Both men trying a crossbody block at the same time. I thought, well done. And here, if you go back and you listen to this crowd is not sweetened with crowd noise.
Right.
This is a legit crowd that you're going to hear at Greensboro. And listen to how stoked they are and how excited they are about this match. Look at Dream. Sit down, man. I like this part of the match. He would sit down, try to take a breath, elbow, shake it off, sit down again, man. Good stuff. This is something you didn't see. This is Dusty doing something that you normally didn't see in any match, and he did it, and the fans loved it.
I loved it. It's a great match. It's underrated. And it's worked, like you said, in a much different style than what, people have probably seen. If you're a younger fan and you've only seen stuff in the last 20 years or so, you've probably not seen something quite like this.
Yeah, if you watch things the last 10 years or so, you're used to seeing high spots go up top, do a flip-flop fly, and have the announcers call it every kind of silly shit in the world. But now you're seeing just two guys knowing how to work a match, and we're singing Dusty's praises here, Conrad. We ought to sing Tully's praises as well. Look at this backslide. Nicely done. Tully's going to kick out, or at least come out of it. Tully was a hell of a worker, and it goes back, I've said it many times, it's because he was a hell of an athlete. He could go the limit, man. He could push it. He and Magnum TA get credit for that I Quit match that was spectacular, but this was another Tully Blanchard spectacular match.
Can I just mention here briefly, I can't help myself, I just realized this.
All right.
Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, J.J. Dillon, and Dusty's son Cody, and Tony Schiavone, all going to be at StarCast.
How about that?
If we can only get Tommy Young. Yeah, I don't think Tommy's on speaking terms with us anymore, do you?
I've never tried to contact Tommy, but I'm going to be honest with you. I would think Tommy doesn't even keep up with it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you've been told differently.
No. Listen, I'm just being a smart ass. Of course he doesn't. Tommy Young still carries a fucking flip phone. No, I'm not kidding. Like, I was at NWA Legends Fan Fest a few years ago, and when he went on stage, he said, "Will you help my phone?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And he handed me his flip phone, and it was a fucking Nokia phone I had as a sophomore in high school. That's when I was like, this guy here, he saved his money. He's got his shit together. Some of my friends throw off on you when you don't have the latest, greatest phone, but I'm the finance guy. And so I'm like, this motherfucker here, he's saving his money. He's smart. He's not like me. Hey, I got a data bill. He ain't got no data bill.
Here's the finish. Tommy does a great job of saying, wait a minute. He's looking. He's got his hand on his mouth. JJ is a fucking thief. Look at that. And he's running out with Dark Journey. And he's going. I thought it looked good to have the policeman run behind him, as if to say, come back here, you fucking thief. And Tommy said, we got to restart the match because Tully's foot was on the rope. Leg was on the rope. And they did restart the match. And then Dusty, of course, going all the way outside of the Greensboro Coliseum, as you can see, gets counted out. You may think this is a Dusty, quote-unquote, screw job finish, right? I don't think so. Tommy just counts it out, raised the hand of Tully. I thought it was a pretty damn good storyline here. So that's my thought on that.
Help me understand, why, in your opinion, did J.J. Dillon need to put the money in a fucking pillowcase to leave? Like, why not just take the Acme grocery bag and dip?
Well, isn't that what thieves usually do?
Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't stolen anything besides your heart.
I don't know. Maybe Rich McKinney convinced him to do that. Maybe Rich would be here in the crowd somewhere, but he would be only 2'1". You couldn't see him.
I thought you were saying maybe Rich McKinney was a thief and he could tell him some tips on how to steal.
Could be. I mean, Rich could be a.
He's stealing money from Court Bauer every Friday night on Beyond Sports. That's my Bruce Pritchard doing an Ernie Ladd about King Kong Bundy. That's fucking inception of podcast right there. You're stealing money, Rich.
Dusty comes back, and Dusty goes fucking berserk. And that cuts a great promo that gets the fans to pop. Bring me back my money and whatever. Stole my money. And I'm going to go in the back and going to be talking to Magnum Dusty. And guess what? I'm going to talk to Tommy Young, too, which is my I'm really excited about having this on my show, on the podcast here. And I would hope that since I play the part of Tony Schiavone, that you could play the part of Tommy Young.
I can do it. How about, he's fired up right here.
Yes, he is.
Cussing into the microphone, slinging it. He's really selling it for the crowd. Headbutting, slapping, whatever it takes to that turnbuckle.
Yes, sir, man. And the crowd gets fired up, and he and Magnum will walk out here, and he's got my money.